Welcome, everyone, to our January 20th, 2026 Ogden City Council meeting. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present today. We will start our meeting with our opening ceremony and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And we asked Vice Chair Graff if he would lead us.
Please rise and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would you all please join us for a moment of silence, please? Thank you. Are there any acknowledgements from council members?
I think I just would mention we had the Ho Fest last weekend, and it's just put on very well. I know that there's a lot of effort and planning that goes into that, and so it was a great opportunity to recognize that relationship still.
Thank you. Any others? Okay. Next item is approval of minutes. The first is for the work session of November 13th, the special meeting of Board of Canvas on November 18th, and the joint work session of November 18th. Councilmember Ritchie.
Yep. Yes, Chair, I reviewed those minutes and found those to be accurate.
Next is the regular meeting of November 18th. Councilmember Myers.
Mr. Chair, I've read those meetings and reviewed them and found them to be accurate.
And finally, the work session and regular meeting of December 2nd. Vice Chair Graff.
Chair, I've reviewed those, and to the best of my recollection, I found them to be accurate, and move to accept minutes as recited.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Graff and seconded by Councilmember Myers to approve the minutes. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, they stand approved. Next item is our consent item. There are two items on this agenda. The first is the Community and Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee appointments. And the second is a Planning Commission appointment. So I'll look for motion.
Chair, I'd move that we accept the candidates for both appointments to each of the organizations.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion.
Chair, can we do those separately?
Okay, that would require a motion.
Can I make a motion that we do those appointments separately, the Community Economic and Development, the Citizens Advisory Committee first, and then the Planning Commission appointment second?
Okay, we have a motion that preceded yours, so that we kind of need to resolve that one first. Is that all right? That's just procedure.
The original motion maker can amend the motion as well.
Pardon
So the
me?
original motion maker can amend the motion.
Okay.
Amend the motion.
Yeah, I'll amend the motion to allow separation of the two consent items.
Second.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I think the procedure will allow us to then handle both of these in a separate motion then. So I guess I will look for a motion on item A, Community and Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee appointment.
So, Chair, I'll make that motion to accept those nominated for the Community and Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Graff, seconded by Councilmember Ritchie to approve those committee appointments on the Community and Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, on the next item, it is 4B, Planning Commission appointment. This is consideration of the appointment of James Humphreys to the Planning Commission.
Chair, may I make a motion?
Yes, please.
I motion that we remove this item from consent vote
It's already essentially removed. So,
and move into a separate discussion. Table this vote.
okay, so what I'm understanding is you want to table this item to a future time, is that?
Yes.
Okay, so when do you want to table it to? If it's a table, we have to go to a date certain.
February 10th.
Okay. Does that work for our executive director?
If that's the date that you would like, we can certainly make that happen.
Okay, we have a motion to table 4B to February 10th.
I'd second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Washington, seconded by Councilmember Lindell to table this. And this is just a voice vote also, isn't it? Okay,
It is.
okay, all in favor?
A question on the motion?
Yes.
Chair? Is there a motivation behind tabling this? I'm not sure if that wants to become public or not, or if there's any discussion that we can have.
We'll have to ask the motion maker.
So just according to the appointment and just the transmittal that we've received, just the process that's outlined in that is to defer to the rest of the council and to council chair and vice chair to table that vote to have a closed session discussion.
So is that proposal then to have a closed session discussion?
When we have the table. Thank you for your patience as I
Is
get
that,
this
is that
verbiage.
something that we have, that was part of that original motion then? Did it be a closed session
session?
discussion?
It wasn't.
It was not.
Okay.
Would that have to be put on an agenda item or work session?
Well, I guess my
by
question
council chair
for
later?
Glenn or for legal is the procedure about this is that, does the, I assume it would be character and competence that we'd be having a closed session for. Is that something that required to be in the first motion, or do we?
No, the chair sets the agenda, so if you want that to happen, we can make that happen. Typically, when an item is tabled, there is at least a reference to why it is tabled.
Okay.
If there's information that needs to be produced or researched, then that helps us to understand why it was tabled. But yeah, you set the agenda so we can work with you to get a date for further action.
Okay. Then I guess I think we're okay then with the motion as it has been stated, to table 4B to February 10th. And this is a voice vote.
And just to clarify a little further, it wouldn't be in the public session. It would be a closed session, and that would be a work session, not in here.
Well, we would have to adjourn into closed session. We could do that from the work session per our new rules, but I suspect it would probably happen as part of this, the general session, right?
Yeah, again, we can look at scheduling, but you're right. The new rules and norms allow you to go into a closed session from a work session or a regular or special council meeting. So either one.
So we'll look at the intensity of each meeting and figure out where it fits the best. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second on the table. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
No.
Okay, since I'm gonna turn into a roll call vote so we can actually get a better count. Okay?
Councilmember Lopez?
Oppose.
Councilmember Lundell?
Aye.
Councilmember Myers?
No.
Councilmember Ritchie?
No.
Councilmember Washington?
Aye.
Vice Chair Graff?
Nay.
Chair Heyer?
No. That motion then fails. 2 to 5.
Chair, I would then make a motion that we adopt the planning or the item B under the consent.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, seconded by Councilmember Graff to approve that appointment. And this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
I think we can safely say it was the same vote. Is that is that okay?
Councilmember Lindell voted aye.
I voted
Oh,
aye.
you voted aye? Okay, so it's
6-1.
6-1. Okay, great. All right, thank you. We typically will invite whoever has been appointed to stand so we can congratulate them on their appointment. And so if you're here for the Citizens Advisory Committee appointment or the Planning Commission appointment, so
We have just this planning
looks
commission.
like we have our Planning Commissioner. Okay, congratulations on your appointment.
Thanks for the commitment of your time and your willingness to participate in a volunteer committee that really shapes our city. Appreciate it, James.
Two of us have spent a lot of time on the Planning Commission. It's near and dear to us. So, yes, thank you for that service. Okay, next item on our agenda is unfinished business. This was tabled from the December 9th meeting. We do expect a presentation from Mr. Simpson concerning this, so welcome, Mr. Simpson.
Chair, members of the commission. So I would propose an option to the council at this time. I know in our work session, we had some discussion and we'd like to continue, thank you, sir, continue community engagement. We know that we're working on that, so administration would request this be continued. I'm happy to go through the presentation if you like, but we had asked to consider that so we can continue to work with the community on this item.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Simpson?
Chair, may I?
Yes,
So,
please.
before we make a final decision, I ask to take a moment and take in consideration the voices of this neighborhood. Those voices who never feel unheard. With that in mind, I would like to make a motion to postpone a final decision on the 211 Patterson rezoning until February 3rd, and direct the administration to collaborate with a neighborhood residents to develop a grading neighborhood improvement plan.
I'll second that.
Okay, so
Oh, table to it.
table to
February 3rd.
February 3rd.
Yes.
Okay, great. And the instruction was for the administration to work through some of the neighborhood issues that have been brought up,
Yeah,
right?
we're continuing to engage with them, and so just allow some additional time to do that and look at potential mitigation measures that we can consider.
You know what, one question that this brings up in my mind is if some of these things that are expected by the neighborhood don't typically happen in a rezone. This is just a rezone
Yeah.
petition.
Correct.
Would this turn this thing into a conditional use?
So what I would emphasize is that the use it was conditional under the previous development with the 12 units, the 25 units that would be gained with the R5 is also a conditional use. So it would still need to go to the Planning Commission, and ultimately in that process as part of conditional use, that's the basic structure of it, is establishing mitigation of impacts. So the zoning is simply to be able to say, can we have R5 uses rather than just R4 uses? As it stands now, it still could be developed as an apartment, for anybody to develop, just with fewer units under the R4.
So you're not saying that it does need to go back to the Planning Commission?
It does.
It would need to.
As far as the consideration for rezone, no, but it will need to go back to the Plan Commission regardless whether the zoning is selected or not. It is a conditional use for more than 8 units.
I see. Okay. Does everybody understand what that means? Mm-hmm. So that kind of means, at least the way I understand it, is February 3rd isn't going to be decided because it's going to have to visit the Planning Commission.
Correct.
And then
If it's adopted or denied, it would still need to go to the Planning Commission. Either way, to be developed with multiple family, more than 8 units.
Okay. All right.
Question, Chair?
Yes.
Has this not already been approved by the Planning Commission?
There was a recommendation for approval to the councils, yes.
And so I don't understand why it has to go back to the planning commission again.
So if it would have to go back for the actual site plan development portion of it. So as part of a conditional use basically envelops the site development of how the site's going to be built. And it proposes the number of units, if that's 8 or more, regardless of either zone. It goes to the commission to look at mitigating potential impacts. And so that's how I would foresee. I know we're looking at, there's concern of impacts that this could cause. And so we're a little bit cart before the horse, but we're happy to engage and provide some, at least have some recommendations that could go to the planning commission if it's approved or not approved, that could be considered so that the community, the surrounding community could be heard. They would also be noticed as part of the conditional use permit process.
That answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. We don't have this slated for public input, and as I spoke with Councilmember Lopez earlier, you didn't think there was anybody that was going to come and want to speak to that tonight. Is that correct?
No, they are not going to speak tonight. They are waiting just for work with the administration if that is possible.
Okay. So we do have a motion that this be tabled to February 3rd for consideration. And did I? And we have we have a second by Councilmember Graff. So this is a voice vote, as it is just a tabling. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, I think that's 2-5 again. So that passes, that it will be tabled to February 3rd. And I think our staff and administration has the instruction on what we're trying to accomplish between now and then. Okay? All right, great, thank you. Next item is public comment, and this is an opportunity to address the council regarding concerns or ideas on any topic. Please be civil and keep your comments concise. And if you can, just kind of form a queue so we avoid a lot of the dead time between speakers, that would be great too. And limit your comments to 3 minutes and give us your name.
My name is Kirk Smith. Good evening. I came down to support this good mayor's common sense decision regarding golf course access. I spent much of my childhood and youth exploring the foothills of Ogden and cherish those memories, and I still use the trails a lot. And I don't believe that most people's first instinct is to trespass across a golf course. Having worked in the title business for 43 years, I can also tell you that those who do encroach have neither a legal right, a prescriptive easement, or any formal or informal agreement to do so, and it's been firmly established that this so-called social trail was never contemplated to be part of the original golf course master plan. Excuse me. Now, Mayor Nadolski didn't create this silly mess, but apparently he gets to be the one to clean it up, with the added bonus of getting lectured by folks who didn't get their way. You're a lucky guy, Mayor. Golfers must feel like suckers as well by paying thousands of dollars every year for season passes, tournaments, and cart and green fees. They're the ones who fund the maintenance of this property. I have very good friends on the other side of this issue who honestly feel that theirs is the majority opinion. They are better activists and better organized, but squeaky wheel doesn't equal majority. And I kind of get it. Who wouldn't want their own private running trail and manicured bike path to use anytime without having to contribute a single penny toward it? Keep in mind that Ogden only has 27 holes of golf to serve almost 90,000 people, and it's highly doubtful that there will be any more built in our lifetimes. Common sense should tell us that a golf course is not a dog park, a biking trail, or a cross-country course. Should the city have intervened more forcibly years ago to stop it? Probably. But it doesn't change the fact that non-golf activity and access, with the exception of winter sports, has always been through self-entitlement and without permission. At the last city council meeting, someone made the public comment that, quote, No one in Ogden wants Ogden City to profit from golf courses, unquote. So first they told us using 2008 figures that Ogden City Golf has to be subsidized. And now, when that argument was shut down, they tell us that the city is not supposed to make money from golf. So follow that logic if you can. Lastly, do we really need a survey to tell us that a golf course is a golf course? Or can we just use our common sense like the mayor has? Thank you again, council, for this opportunity, and to you, Mayor, for making the correct decision here.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Sam. I'm a resident of District 3 in Ogden. I'm a 12-year Air Force veteran. I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. That oath didn't expire when I left service. I'm here tonight because I believe ICE's pattern of conduct across the nation is an affront to the Constitution. I do not want our local police drawn into it. I want to be clear about what's happening right now across this country. In Minneapolis, federal immigration agents have killed a U.S. citizen, a 37-year-old mother who had just dropped off her child from school. Days later, they shot another person. Schools in the area have been disrupted, businesses have closed, neighborhoods are in chaos. At a protest in California over the killing, federal agents fired projectiles into crowds exercising their First Amendment rights, permanently blinding at least 2 people, including a 21-year-old college student who lost an eye and nearly lost his life. This is not what public safety looks like. This is recklessness. These are the consequences when untrained federal agents playing soldier with tactical gear and near total immunity operate without accountability in American neighborhoods. And this is exactly what a 287G agreement would invite into our communities. The constitutional violations are well documented. Federal courts have found that ICE conducts stops without reasonable suspicion in violation of the Fourth Amendment. A coalition of 18 states' attorneys general has argued that ICE engages in racial profiling rather than individualized suspicion, a violation of equal protection. The Fifth Amendment guarantees due process, yet ICE agents routinely use administrative warrants that are not signed by a judge. They detain people, including U.S. citizens, without explaining the basis for that detention. The history of 287G programs confirms these concerns. In Alamance County, North Carolina, the DOJ found that deputies under a 287G agreement systematically targeted Latino residents. The sheriff allegedly told his deputies, "Bring me some Mexicans." Latino drivers were up to 10 times more likely to be stopped, far more likely to be arrested for the same infractions that earned others only warnings. That program was terminated, but only after years of damage. Amazingly, that 2012 report is still on the current DOJ website. I'm very grateful that the OPD has said it has no plans to participate in the 287G. I urge the council to support that position. Our officers have training, they have standards, and they have accountability to their community. They should not be asked to partner with an agency whose agents have demonstrated a pattern of constitutional violations, recklessness, and a lack of professional discipline. Any officer who takes pride in their profession should be deeply uncomfortable with the potential for such an association. I took an oath to the Constitution. I still believe in it. The Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures. The Fifth Amendment guarantees due process. The 14th Amendment promises equal protection under the law. These aren't abstractions. They're the foundation of the country I serve.
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Oliver Roth. I'm afraid that the gentleman ahead of me did address a lot of these same concerns that I came here tonight to discuss with you. But nonetheless, as a member of your city, I recently moved here 6 months ago, and it is a very beautiful and fine city. It's very calm here. It's very peaceful. I enjoy walking the streets. Over the last 12 months, I've begun to feel this fear, not just here, but in the previous cities of Utah that I have lived in. As a member of the LGBT community, I am afraid, and as an outspoken opponent of the Trump administration, I am afraid that my home, at some point in time, will be kicked in the same scenes that we are seeing in Minneapolis, in Chicago, in New York, in Los Angeles, all over the country, in Democrat-led cities. So what I ask of the City Council here tonight is to ensure that OPD does not agree to a 287G agreement with ICE. This is an amazing city, as I have said. It's calm, it's peaceful, and I would like to see it that way. So please, I implore you guys to take the steps necessary to ensure that we do not see the chaos that we have seen across the nation unfold in our very streets. And should we do see that chaos, I implore you and the OPD to ensure that our U.S. citizens, our townsfolk, are protected to the full extent of the law and the full extent of the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver.
Hello, Chair. My name's Damien. I just wanted to say let's be very clear about why I'm here tonight. I'm here because of the ruling class in the city and the people who are sitting behind me in the the people sitting in front of me in the dais, and the mayor and his office, who has decided that the hardworking families of Ogden are nothing more than a personal piggy bank for more of their visionary debt projects. Councilman Lundell, I wanted to start with you. You came into my comments and you admitted the truth. You called out the water rate hikes as a shakedown. You admitted to the debt of the water block parking structure of $4 million a year, and it is still haunting you. You admitted that the water bill is increased and was sneaking away into a rising general revenue without having to go through truth of taxation. So, Councilman, if you know that this is a shakedown, why are you sitting there? If you know that the state should have paid for the pipeline, why are the people of Ogden footing the bill while you look for discussion? Is it your testimony tonight, or are you powerless to stop the shakedown that yourself have identified? We didn't need to elect a whistleblower. We elected a councilman. Stop being haunted by the debt and start voting against it. And then we have Councilman Washington. Councilwoman, I just wanted to address you directly. When confronted of the fact that the city is siphoning $7 million out of the utility funds while families are choosing between groceries and water bills, your response was heard loud and clear. Well, that is the most ignorant and dismissive brush off I have ever seen. Heard loud and clear is what you say to a toddler, not to a taxpayer. Let me ask you, Councilwoman, did you hear that families who can't even afford the $60-month fee you slapped on the Marshall White Center? Did you hear the local businesses on 25th Street who are being suffocated by your own managed parking scheme? Or are you just hearing the developers who are wanting, who are waiting for their next check from the $60 monthly fee you slapped on the Marshall White Center? The local businesses on 25th Street who are being suffocated by your managed parking schemes, or just hearing the developers who are waiting for their next check for the $240 million Wander Block slush fund. And then where's the mayor in all of this, right? The mayor is hiring more bureaucrats, more staff, more administration bloat, while the people are drowning. You are building an empire of middle management on the backs of the people who can't afford a 20% water hike. And you're talking about economic development while you're literally taxing the steam off of working man's coffee. Just thank you, time.
Thank you, Damien.
Hello, my name is David Lewis, and I've been to previous council meetings, not this year, but last year, to address some of the issues regarding the golf course. And I'm not going to talk about that exact issue tonight. I've expressed my concerns about the safety on the golf course for pedestrian traffic, dog walkers, hikers, running teams, and so forth. I'm not going to go into that because I've already addressed that. My purpose here tonight, I wanted to throw some support the mayor's way, because I was very impressed with the way that I'll address directly to you, the way you conducted yourself in the public hearings. There was a lot of public comment, and I saw you listening intently to people with empathy and respect for all of them. And I know it was an agonizing decision for you. I support your decision, but I was very impressed the way that you conducted yourself. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Edward Hilbert, Ogden, Utah, 1960 Sullivan. Yes, I'm here for the golf course. There's no way, there's no other golf course that I know in the United States where you can just walk across, stop the golf course, golfing. And for you guys, that, ladies and men that don't golf, go up there when they're golfing and they go out at certain times, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 15-minute intervals. So if you had 10 people, 12 people walking, you're going to stop that interval. You're going to stop the whole thing. And it's just not Ogden that's coming here to golf anymore. We're getting more people from Salt Lake that come and golf here because they like it, and they come down to your restaurants in our town. I mean, we might not own them, but in our town, and eat and stay and they visit. So it's just not about the golf course. It's about the other people coming from other areas. And so, and you're going to get walking trails. Your ball's going to come rolling like this. And where's it going to stop? Right in that where you walk. It's just not going to work out. And there's no other place. I helped Snyder years ago when I worked for the university paint that field so he could have a track meet. You know how many times he had it? Just a couple times. He had to close the whole thing down. He could afford it. Snyder's family could afford it. And it was a lot of work to get it back into shape when they went across that. And that was just a few runners in a couple hours. So you can imagine if we had people walking across there daily, it just ain't gonna work out. It's a good idea. I have to thank you guys for getting more police officers, paying their wages, so we can have police officers and they're not going to other towns after a couple of years. You just have to raise taxes to pay the officers. It's just how it is. Our sidewalks, our water, if you're gonna do the bill, you're gonna have to raise it. It's the people that are working for the city. They want to live in this city. They want wages like everyone else. I worked at that university up there in the grounds department, and we hardly got paid anything. What happened? We had turnover of people and people and people till they decided they would pay people. And so I do work at the golf course. I enjoy it, and I hope we're doing a good job for all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hilbert.
Good evening. My name is Roger Reiner. I am a marshal at Mount Ogden as well as El Monte for approximately a year. And I marshal at Mount Ogden about every Saturday, sometimes Sunday as well. And maybe because it's a weekend, but a week that I have worked there doesn't go by without seeing walkers, joggers, husbands and wives walking the dog. I even, on my golf cart, was almost hit by two boys riding gasoline motorbikes through the golf course. Now, I'm here to tell you a story, a true story. When I was 11 years old, me and a buddy were out in the front yard hitting golf balls with a 7-iron. And I was going from one yard to the next, and I was supposed to be hitting it straight. Well, I ended up hitting it to a slice. I hit my buddy right in the chin. It opened him up to the bone, and he had to have about 12 stitches. Now, can you imagine a 40-year-old man weighing 200 pounds hitting a driver? And those balls go from 150 up to 180 miles an hour. It's a dangerous situation, and it could be a very nasty lawsuit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reiner.
How's it going? Voted for many of you, so this is great to see. But I'm Nick McMillan, and I am the chairperson of the Ogden Trails Network. I typed this up, so I'm just going to read it off. As many of you may know me from mountain biking and trail building in the area, I'm a longtime voting member of the Ogden Trails Network and have been in this area many years. Many of the trails in this area have been built and or maintained with the blood, sweat, and tears of me and my children. I'm an accomplished mountain bike racer and advocate, and in no way do I ever think my recreational activity should impede someone else's or do I think mine is more important than anyone else's? I've brought this up with people in this room before, and I will make this point again. At no time did the network ever say we were going to close Gibbs Loop or shut down any of the trail system except for the illegal, unsanctioned shortcuts that cut across the golf course. Honestly, if you're looking to enjoy the trail system, you shouldn't be looking for a shortcut, in my opinion, anyway. As Ogden's only fee-based park, I believe it is unfair for sportsmen to be put at a risk of hitting a pedestrian that is not only trespassing due to these illegal shortcuts, but also to put them in the position of being liable for an injury is ridiculous. Think of it like this. If you are a parent, let's say your children are practicing soccer at 22nd and Monroe on a Saturday, and a group of people just decide to take the shortest route across the field, which they can. Not only is it going to impede the entire practice, but I can certainly bet some of you would get seriously annoyed with this. There's no difference. I could go cut across through baseball games, football games, soccer games, anything I want at these free public parks. Do I? No. We shouldn't even be having a conversation because, as I stated before, this is not part of the trail system. These are illegal shortcuts across a fee-based park. It all comes down to being ignorant or not, and I choose not to be, nor do I think it's anybody's right to impede on anyone else. Common sense, people. We all need it.
Thanks, Mr. McMillan.
Hello, my name is David. I've been a resident of Ogden for 10 years this year. My fiance has lived here for 3. However, over the last year, something has changed. At this point, my fiance, who is a woman of color, who is darker than everyone in this room bar one, is now fearful to leave the house. We are seeing a federal administration that is out of control with masked secret police roaming the streets. And they are rounding up who? We don't know. They're grabbing people, throwing them into vans, disappearing them. Now, I want to be clear. This is not something that my fiance is afraid of because she is not a citizen. She is Native American. Her tribe had a treaty that was then broken before the United States even existed. Her tribe, her family, has lived in this country since before the families of anyone in this room, unless they are also Native American. So why is it that she needs to be afraid in this country, in this city where she is a resident, where she lives? So what I want to know, to the city council, what is going to be done? What is being done to protect those citizens? Citizens like my fiance who are fearful of what's happening. Citizens like even me, where this potentially could affect me. If they come after her, do they come after me? We're seeing lawlessness in this country. Several speakers before me have also stated this. So I want to know what's being done. Is anything being done? So we're at the city council meeting. Does anyone wish to speak to this?
Our typical practice is to give you your full 3 minutes, and at the end of everything, we'll try to address the answers.
Well, if there are answers, I would like to hear them. Because at least so far, I've not seen anything in the news. I've not seen anything from the mayor, from Utah elected officials anywhere about the safety and security of all Utah citizens and residents. If you have an answer, I'd like to hear it. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Hi, Kim Haslam, Ogden resident. I want to address the recent uptick in ICE activity and the repeated framing that this is simply DC politics and therefore outside the scope of this body. Respectfully, that framing is not accurate. What is happening nationally is very clearly happening here, with a potential ICE detention center being considered in Salt Lake City and with many police departments and county sheriffs already operating under 287G agreements, which allow local law enforcement to perform certain immigration enforcement functions. This issue is not abstract or distant. It's here and it's affecting our communities. Ogden City needs to take a clear and unambiguous stance. In December, I requested to view body cam footage from a traffic stop in which OPD contacted ICE, despite repeated public statements that OPD and ICE do not work together. Rather than paying for the footage, I went to the police station to view it in person, which I encourage others to do. The experience itself was straightforward and professional, and I was able to watch the footage alongside an OPD officer, which allowed me to ask questions about standard procedure during traffic stops. What I learned was important. This was the traffic stop on Washington Boulevard where a driver was pulled over for failing to stop at a crosswalk. The driver provided a false name and date of birth, and OPD was unable to locate her in their system. Officers asked her to submit to a fingerprint scan. She refused. OPD does not have the authority to compel fingerprinting in that situation, but ICE does. ICE was then contacted by OPD to assist. During my conversation with the OPD officer, I learned that this scenario is not unusual. When someone provides false identifying information, officers typically look for a lawful basis to make an arrest, such as driving without a valid license, so the individual can be booked into Weber County Jail, where fingerprinting is mandatory. I was told that contacting ICE effectively sped up that process because ICE can compel fingerprint scans on the spot. So while the fact that ICE was contacted may be minimized in public statements, the justification appears to be that the outcome made it acceptable, that the end justified the means. That should not be how policing works in our city. Either OPD coordinates with ICE or it does not. There cannot be a gray area where collaboration is downplayed in words but justified in practice. That ambiguity does not harm community trust, does not just harm community trust, it also places Ogden police officers in a difficult position, forcing them to navigate unclear expectations and inconsistent messaging. Clear written policy protects officers by giving them firm guidance and protects the community by making enforcement predictable, transparent, and accountable. There is often concern raised. Okay, thanks.
Finish your sentence.
Oh, no, it's a long one.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Mrs. Asplin.
Good evening, council members, mayor. Butch Stampedry. I've been a golf marshal for 18 years between El Monte and Mount Ogden Golf Course, the last 12 at Mount Ogden, and I totally agree with shutting down the trails through Mount Ogden Golf Course. Over the years, I've witnessed near misses, liability, dogs coming out of the bushes and with their owners coming out of the trails. I had to stop a foursome one time in his backswing because I think he was going to nail him, and we would have had a lawsuit. Daycare, this last summer, there was a daycare, a lady with her 4 little kids on a trail looking at flowers, and I drove over to her. I said, "What are you doing? This is a golf course." And she kind of was in Lulu land. She said, "Yeah, we know this is a golf course." I said, "Well, you can either go out on number 7 fairway or go out on 16 fairway, but let me escort you out of here because you're going to get one of these kids hit." "Oh, okay." Well, she had no idea where she was. But anyway, I just, and then you got these guys coming on the golf course, sneaking on with clubs back on number 6. You got them coming on number 11 on the back 9, and you catch them, and they just don't understand. You know, you check in at the front desk before you enter a golf course. But there's just over the years I've seen, 12 years I've been up there, and I've seen so much. I could go on and on about what I've seen. A dog droppings in the fairway. I feel sorry for the maintenance workers that see this every day. and we try to nail them when we see it happen, but it just doesn't stop. But this last year where you shut it down a little bit, this last half of the summer was working really well. No problems at all, but before that, there was too many people on the golf course looking for golf balls, especially a lot of couples. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Zampedri. Tell Tony hi.
Hello, James Humphreys. I want to say thank you very much for your trust and faith that we'll be able to get through what we need to get through over the next few years and make your jobs easier as we look at development in the city. But I did want to make a comment beyond that on the general theme of what I'm hearing this evening. One of the greatest mistakes that is made across this entire country, and I've seen it even here in Ogden on occasion, is that the fear you get when you see a police officer pull up behind you, start to follow you just a little bit. You're like, am I going to get pulled over? What's going to happen? There's always a little bit of anxiety. The police department is meant to be our friends. They're the strangers we want to tell our children you need to go to if something's bothering you and you haven't seen us or you don't have a teacher or someone nearby. The police department is meant to be our friends. Any unprofessional conduct by anyone who is a member of law enforcement damages the credibility of everyone that is involved. The consequence of all the work that this body has done with the mayor's office over the last several years to fully staff, fully fund, and fully train Ogden Police Department is at risk if we cooperate ineffectively with those who are significantly less professional. And Ogden City's police department deserves more support and cooperation and more of an opportunity to demonstrate to the communities that they serve that they're our friends, that they protect my life, my liberty, and my property, and that that is more important than the book that is the law itself. Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Hi, my name is Marissa Hermson. I'm an Ogden resident, new Ogden resident. I'm also an employee at Mount Ogden Golf Course. I worked there last summer as a grounds crew. So maybe I have something new on a perspective about the trail situation. I'd just like to comment that the push to make this unauthorized shortcut, not a trail, that is along the Pineview Reservoir Service Road, to make it into an official trail is a decision that will effectively open up our public golf course to pedestrians, children, cross-country teams, cyclists, and off-leash dogs, not just these few trail runners that want a shortcut. First of all, Mount Ogden is specifically designed for one activity, the game of golf. There are minimal barriers, no protections for non-golfers. Every day, thousands of golf balls are launched from those tee boxes over 130 miles an hour. And besides the dozens of golf carts out there, as a crew member, we also have off-road utility vehicles, tractors, mowers, and a lot of heavy machinery that we're constantly operating around on the course and on those roads that they want to cross through on, the interconnecting service roads, often during pre-dawn or dusk hours. From a legal perspective, inviting non-golfers onto a golf course despite the reasonable risk of injury exposes our city to heightened liability. Under premise liability law, the city could be held responsible for any injuries sustained by pedestrians, cyclists, animals, children, any of them. The financial burden of such liability could have significant repercussions for our city's budget. I'm also an avid golfer, and from a golfer's perspective, the allowance of other recreational activities under that course would compromise the integrity of the experience our customers pay for. The presence of off-leash dogs and cyclists pose a risk to not only the safety, but also to the maintenance of the course itself. Damage from foot traffic, dog waste, and unauthorized cycling will lead to an increased maintenance cost and diminish the quality of the playing surface that our golfers expect and deserve. In the past 5 years, we've seen a 120% increase in business there because we are committed to providing the peaceful and uninterrupted playing environment that golfers prioritize. Introducing noise, unpredictability, and distractions from children and dogs will ultimately lead to an increased frustration and have negative impact on customer satisfaction. while the idea of officially authorizing all recreational trail users to access this favorite shortcut of cross-country teams may be appealing on the surface, it is crucial to prioritize the safety of our residents and the integrity of our public spaces. The potential for severe injury, the increased liability our city would face, and the degradation of golfing experience and the conflicting recreational uses all present compelling arguments against this proposal. And thank you, Mayor, for your support.
Thank you, Marissa.
My name's Richard Bruckner, and I am an Ogden resident. I was born here. I've raised here, spent most of my life here, had the opportunity to live in other cities and states, and Ogden's the best. We always come back here because we love it. And I want to thank you, Mayor, for the leadership to do what you're doing with the golf course. I know it takes guts, but that trail and the golf course were designed for separate purposes. I love mountain bikes. I also love golfing. And you know what I can do? I can do both, and I never have to cross the golf course. There's never been a reason to go across that golf course, and the trail was originally designed to go around it. You should talk to the original designers of the trail and the people that worked on it, because they will tell you that it was never designed for that. They weren't even happy with the way the trail comes up on number 6 and then goes up and around. They tried to work around, but because of the trail grades and the laws and the rules that go around building trails, they had to do things different. So it's not right for people to pay $50+ to go up there and have a dog come up and sniff them, right? It's not fair to worry and wait for a group of 50 runners to run by so you can tee off. So I think you're making the right decision. In today's litigious society, I can't even believe that this would be a question, that if someone was hurt on that golf course that didn't be there, wasn't supposed to be there, that the city wouldn't face a lawsuit and that you guys wouldn't face it. And I would have to believe that our lawyers feel the same way. So I appreciate the support. There's plenty of room up there for runners to go up and around, and bikers and hikers. And I just want to say thank you for doing that, because it's the right decision. You don't need to have extra people on the golf course, especially if they're not supposed to be there and they can get hurt. So again, thank you very much.
Thanks, Richard.
Council members and mayor, my name is Craig Nichols. I am also an Ogden native. I am an avid user of the trail system. I am also an avid user of our public golf courses. And as some of the other folks that have spoken tonight have mentioned, it just comes down to common sense for me, and I just wanted to add my support for the mayor's decision, because there is a place and time for everything. When I want to run, and I'm on those trails quite a bit, I never have a desire to run across the golf course. There's plenty of trails around. My father was on the trails committee that this gentleman was talking about, and he represents to this day. My father helped build Gibbs Loop, and he roped me into volunteering to help build that trail. So I'm very intimate with the knowledge of how it was designed to circumvent the golf course and not become a liability for the golfers. And lastly, I've been fortunate enough throughout my lifetime to play a number of golf courses nationwide, and not one single golf course that I've ever played has public access across the course while there's golfers out there that have paid sometimes a lot of money to play safely. It just comes down to a liability issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
Hello, my name's Chris Richens. I'm an Ogden resident. I would like to echo everything the previous speakers have been saying about the golf course. I have a little bit different point of view. I've been not just an avid golfer, but I've been a seasonal employee at the golf course for 30+ years, and have had to listen to countless complaints from golfers about conflicts with hikers and bikers, runners. Luckily, I've never been involved or had anyone say they've gotten injured, but I can only think that it would be only a matter of time before that were to happen if the public access to the course was to continue. I would like to say thank you for your decision. I think it's the right decision. Eventually, someone is going to get hit by a golf ball or get in a fight with a rowdy individual, and I think it definitely would end up in a lawsuit. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Richens.
Hello, council members. My name is Chris Barrera. I am an Ogden resident. I've been here about 7 years. I'm also an Air Force veteran, only 7 years though. I'm here to voice my opposition to a 287G agreement with ICE. Others have spoke to the civil rights violations, the terrible treatment of people suspected, not convicted of crimes, and are stopped. I just want to point your attention to one statistic. Now, as you guys know, fiscal years report September the following year. So we don't actually have a ton of data on 2025, but luckily this administration likes to boast monthly about their numbers. So from September 21st, 2025 to January 7th, 2026, there were a total of 11,296 arrests. Of those, 8,121 are classified as other immigrant violators. These are the people that you normally think of as people who get picked up by ICE, people seeking asylum, people who haven't actually committed a crime other than being in this country. By definition, they don't have a criminal record because they just got to this country. 2,273 of those are pending charges. Again, not people convicted of crimes, but they are pending charges. These are people who showed up to their immigration hearings and were taken into custody. The final number, 902, is the actual convicted criminals picked up by ICE in that 3-month period. If you do the math, 902 divided by 11,296 is 7.9%. 8% of people being detained and arrested by ICE are actual criminals. If that percentage holds, are we okay with that? 92% of Ogden residents in cooperation with OPD being arrested, but not actually criminals. This administration boasts, we're getting rid of the worst of the worst. They plaster brown faces on their websites, 10, 15 at a time, of the hundreds of thousands that they arrest to make examples of us. And just really quickly, because I know I'm almost out of time, James Humphreys, I got a different talk than you. I wasn't told, hey, go find a cop because they are your friends and they will protect you. I was told, make sure your hands are visible and do everything they say, because if that officer's having a bad day, you're going to get your ass kicked. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Barrera, and thanks for your service.
Thank you for the support.
Malik Dio, Ogden resident. Yeah, any I'm with everything this young man just said, with this gentleman who's serving this country said. Any cooperation with Ogden City with ICE is absolutely disgusting and racist. It's absolutely, there's anybody who supports ICE, knowing what they do and seeing what their actions are on social media, the way they're just shooting people in the face and just grabbing old men out of their house and beating them up and then taking them back and just sending them off to third world countries where they're not able to be found or located is absolutely disgusting. If any of our police department that participates in that, they're lowering themselves to the level of a Nazi, because that's what ICE is. They're nothing but federal Nazis for the Trump administration, and anybody who supports them here, you're just as racist and just as bad as the Trump administration is. That's all I got to say.
Thanks, Lee.
Hello, my name is Julie Ray, and I've
been born and raised Ogden resident. I've lived here my whole life, and this community is really important to me. And I'm here tonight to speak on ICE's presence in our community. And before starting, I would like to take a moment to thank all of those who got up here before me and spoke on the issues. You all highlighted my concerns beautifully, especially the gentleman right behind me who explained how unconstitutional ICE's response in our community has been. To the individual who spoke about his wife's experience, you both are not alone in that. My heart is breaking, but know that your community is with you. Unfortunately, I have friends and family members who are also scared to leave their homes, regardless of their immigration status, because they understand that people are being stopped for the color of their skin or the way they talk. It's clear both by the comments made here tonight and conversations happening in the community that fear is running rampant and people who belong to diverse populations don't feel safe to leave their homes. Your constituents need clarity on the relationship between Ogden City Police and Weber County Sheriff's Department, because saying that OPD does not participate leaves room for ambiguity when we consider that Weber County Sheriff has signed 287G, and as far as I understand it, there is overlap and collaboration between the departments as it relates to facility usage. I'm here tonight to call on the council to do more to protect our community's safety. We demand stronger leadership, increased transparency, and proactive action to uphold our sense of safety. No one deserves to feel scared to leave their house because of race-based discrimination. Please do your part to protect these individuals. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Hello, I am Thordorosh. I'm trying to think of the city, part of the city I am. I'm near McKay Hospital. I'm here on all three of the big topics today. So for the foster care, halfway home, talking for the youth, as I am one, I would appreciate if we were able to take care of the youth. I'd prefer if we don't basically shove foster kids onto the street. I'd prefer if they had somewhere to go, if they had some sort of way to go into society rather than having no support, ending up homeless, and haunting us. Regarding the golf course, I would like to kind of say touche, as there was an equal reaction of people talking about in favor of the golf course, which was mentioned at the last meeting. So you're right. I'd also like to talk a little bit about the podcast, although I do personally think that it's like bad to talk about controversial topics right after or like in the middle of those discussions. I was thinking it back to how much of the conversation I understood because of watching that podcast episode of The Ogden Way. And that although I personally would prefer if there was other people involved in the podcast who like grassroots organizers or that style of Ogdenite, I do think that the discussions of like the monetary elements of the golf course really helped me understood that discussion, that we put in a bunch of investments and like that the golf course is now out of the red and in the green. Those sort of information was helpful for the conversation. I like realized later. That it especially helps me, like helps. I like how you're expressing the bureaucratic and institutional elements of Ogden, but I would really appreciate the grassroots and the spontaneous side of Ogden. If that would be like really, I think that would weigh it back on the other side. And then regarding ICE stuff, which in my notes is just ICE stuff, I would prefer if Ogden didn't participate with ICE. There was a ton of really great arguments here against the Ogden participating with ICE. Mayor, in the past, you have made the argument that Ogden is sort of apolitical or separated from the national conversations. And I think that if we want to follow along with that line of argument, then we should not have Ogden police enforcing national policies around immigration. We should in every way possible make Ogden police a safe space for Ogden residents as much as possible. And I hope that all of you do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Thor.
Hello, my name is Eva Barnett, and I live at 25th Street and Monroe.
and I've lived there for about 18 years. And I'm really happy to say that in that 18 years, I've seen the neighborhood improve and improve. We've experienced a lot there, and we still do. We call it an exciting block for sure. My kids know what it's like to be careful, not answer the door when someone knocks, not right away, unless you look through the hole, because we've had more than once someone experience some kind of medical emergency or drug-related experience, and have had to call and get support. We've literally had one time, thank goodness, officers on site in the alley, guns drawn right outside my son's bedroom window to, again, deal with keeping our neighborhood safe from drugs and people under the influence. We're used to seeing lights across the street pretty much every night, either ambulance, fire truck, police officers. A lot happens in our neighborhood. And yet through all of that, I've never been as concerned or worried as a mom and as a daughter as I am right now. I've never had to wonder if when my mom's driving to work, if she's gonna make it home. And that's surreal. Especially when you've grown up being proud of your heritage and kind of wearing it as a badge, thinking, yes, I helped make this country, my family helped make this country. And for the first time ever, I am kind of ashamed of my heritage. And I hate saying that, I really do. I'm embarrassed to say that, but you want safety for yourself and your family and your children. So I know sometimes we can't believe everything on social media. There's AI, we don't know what to trust. And I know sometimes we're tempted to not make things too personal. But all I wanted to do tonight was share my experience as an Ogden resident, as a citizen, as a woman, as a Latina, as someone who is so excited and proud to be American, or at least who used to be, and who really wants to be again, and wants to feel like I can tell my kids that they can trust and they can feel safe around someone in uniform, and who feels like they can have a conversation eventually, hopefully with their mom, to walk through and say, this is what you would do if you were pulled over. Because at this point, I don't even know exactly what to say, because I still don't know what to trust. But I do trust in this council. I do trust in your power and your integrity. And I really I hope and I pray and I talk and visit with people so that we can be on a team that continues to level up the safety in Ogden and the community in Ogden, and hopefully a place we'll continue to all live and want to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barnett.
Linda Sanchez. My heart goes out to these people because a few years ago, I had, not myself, but some personal family, had some problems with the police department, and Chief Sobey, I met with him, and I'm gonna say that they haven't been the greatest. And I've talked to you guys about this actually. And I actually wanted to come here because I would like to have this, before I felt like this was a gotcha, you know, the kids going, gotcha, gotcha. And sometimes it's all about taking education, and sometimes that always can happen. Sometimes kids choose things. But I don't know, I wasn't even going to talk about that until this lady just struck my heart. I wanted to come here, and today I was going to look up policescorecard.org, which the police department before Chief Sobey, they have been probably the worst department in the whole state. Now I know he's been working his tail end off to make things right, as well as the mayor. But I do think, and in that earlier work session, it kind of bothers me with those cameras, for the fact that I heard that 1%, this would help 1%. And I go out to those 1%. But the rest of us, do we not have any rights does this not encroach on our rights? With that being said, this is the 2050, right? You know, I will come almost every week for you to think about. I want you to think, is it better that we serve 1% or is it better that we serve the rest? Now, that's sometimes a hard situation because it depends on the situation, doesn't it? Well, the Constitution is supposed to help us with that, right? It's supposed to help us find how do we do things. So I encourage each one of you, for the new members, I haven't got you a pocket constitution, but don't you worry, it's coming. For the rest of you, I've already gotten. I encourage you guys to read that, because when I read this, or when I watched that code, while it will be more important, I understand that we want to save these young kids, but we also have rights and privileges, and we are not all criminals. All of us are not all criminals.
Thanks, Linda. Your time has expired. Sorry.
And you all will get an email, I'm sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fair enough. Thanks, Linda. Hello.
Hi, my name's Jaredette Banasak. Lived in Ogden for 40 years, so I'll just make a quick comment about the trails and also the ICE enforcement. My husband is Brown, and he's a veteran. He works for the federal government. He has diabetes, so my fear is he is a U.S. citizen. He's lived here a long time, family, everything. But I'm concerned that if he's pulled over and taken, even for a day, he'll die without his medication. So I'll have to admit, I go with him everywhere shopping nowadays because I want to know if he goes. And I know that's irrational, but it's just what's happened to my family. So it's just the fear of, you know, does he carry documents or do they just take him? So I guess I'm just trying to explain to you in a human nature, I'm kind of nervous about him. I've had white privilege. I'm an old lady. You know, he's an old man, but it's scary. So, and I try really hard not to be scared. So that was just my comment, just about my personal life to share. And then as far as the golf course, I know it was a very hard thing to do. I've lived here for 40 years. Before you guys all had this trail system, the Malins, I knew Mr. Malin that lived up the street. He just gave us permission. We just hiked around. There wasn't any designated trails. There was no 29th Street trailhead. You just went up there. There was a dirt thing. The bars were up. We would just walk in and go. So for me, it's a little bit of a sadness because it's someplace I've always gone. But I totally understand, because if I ever went out on the golf course when it was legal, I was really careful because I'm a golfer. You can get killed by a golf ball. So I guess as I understand the golfers and the way the city has to do it, I miss it. And it's like taking some favorite playground that you had away. So that's probably why people are so upset about it, because they've had it for so long. But, you know, the property was donated by the Malins, so the city never paid for the property. And the other thing with the water issue, you guys got to quit watering so much. Down the park down there, mosquitoes come out all the time. Every day I walk down by the park. It's too much watering. So that's it, but thanks you guys for listening, okay? Bye-bye.
Thank you. We do have one hand online that's coming on. Okay, all right.
On a
Laura?
lighter note,
Okay,
this is for the Planning Commission. I was listening to them today.
oh, give us your name, Laura.
Oh, Laura Lewis, Ogden resident. They were talking during the rezoning, and they were making all these really tight restrictions if you have a home occupation about how many people could be in the home and how many employees you could have. And yet when you're redefining single family homes, you are wanting to allow 15 people to be on site 24/7 with no restrictions on facilities available in those homes for that many people. And so I would kind of like an explanation, because it's still a neighborhood, and I think an impact of 15 people is significantly more than what a small little business in a garage is going to bring to the neighborhood. So there's no consistency in what you're doing. And then one other thing for the mayor. I listened to your podcast about the golf course, and I think you mentioned about waiting for an old lady to get across the golf course, and I kind of was offended by that, just so you know. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Go ahead. Come on up.
Hello, my name is Cassandra Quendo. I'm an Ogden resident here. I just wanted to speak on my opinions on Ogden OPD cooperating with ICE. I hope that's not a decision that our council members will align with. One being is a lot of these officers also are supposed to be protecting the students in the school. And how can we trust officers who are protecting students in school who can turn around and take their parents away from them that same day? I don't think it is a sense of security for any children, for any parent picking up their kids. I think it instills a lot of fear in kids and the unknown with that they're already seeing online and having to hear. The fact that the school has to go and send emails to families saying that they won't cooperate with ICE doesn't mean that that won't change with new circumstances happening around the country. We have Ogden High students protesting. I mean, at the end of the day, the people will rise up. It is better to die standing on your feet than to live on your knees. And I hope that Ogden City recognizes that the people together are strong and they have come together. We've held one of the largest protests in Ogden during the 2020 events because of police brutality. And I will tell you now, we will come together as a community and prove to you that we will not allow this in our city. Thank you.
Thanks, Cassandra. Okay, I think now we can go to the one online. Heath Sato. Are you with us?
Hey there. Yeah, Heath Sato, Ogden resident. I believe the comments made earlier aimed at council members Lindell and Washington missed the fact that they literally just joined the council for their first term this month, long after all those votes were made. And in Mayor Nadolski's defense, when he was still on the council, he was one of the 3 council members that actually voted against Wonderblock. So while I share some of the ire that was expressed, I believe the blame is being directed at the wrong people. Regarding the comments made about ICE, I'll just say that the love of my life has a very clearly Latina name, and I do worry about having my front door kicked in, and that's not an America I ever thought I'd live in. I do not feel safer at all. And on that issue, I'll just say, first they came for the immigrants and let you fill in the rest. And on a lighter note, quickly regarding a zoning issue you discussed in a work session, when we talk about limiting formula-based businesses, you know, big chains on historic 25th, it's important to consider it in context to the Wonder Block because, you know, we know the upside of limiting those chains. We'll keep the character, and studies, including one done in Salt Lake, show that locally owned businesses keep more money circulating locally through jobs and local purchasing. The downside is that there is also evidence that larger chains can draw more foot traffic to nearby local businesses. But with Wonder Block, a lot of the spaces are not going to be affordable to anything but big chain stores. And so this might be the first time you hear me say something positive about Wonder Block, but here it is. Since it connects directly to 25th, the spaces there can provide that foot traffic draw from chains without putting them on historic 25th itself. So I think we can protect the charm of 25th and benefit from the activity those chains bring. So win-win on that one. So thanks.
Thanks, Heath. All right, there's one more hand online, Teresa's iPhone. Are you with us?
Good evening, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you for taking my call. My name is Teresa Bramwell, and I just wanted to say congratulations to Weber State University's dance team. They have been all over social media, all over TikTok, with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views and likes, winning the national first place, I believe, in hip hop and third place in jazz. Weber State is producing some incredible dancers. Some of the moves that they did were better than I've seen in any professional troupe anywhere in the country, better than the Rockettes. The number of fouettes that those girls and one gentleman were doing was phenomenal. And I just want to say that Weber State is representing and done some amazing work with their dancers, and congratulations to Weber State. I wanted to mention a couple of other things. I agree with the lady on 25th and Monroe that got up to speak. There is a lot of crime that goes on in our block, in our intersection. There is a ton of drugs, drug deals, drug use, drunken people, people passed out on the sidewalk. It was absolutely rampant for about 4 years during the Biden administration. I say that because everybody knows when those 4 years were. It seems to be a little bit better this year. For the past year, there have been a little bit less crime, and I definitely appreciate the Ogden City Police. They are the thin blue line that keeps society functioning and keeps us safe. Without Ogden City Police, I would not even dare go to my property on 25th and Monroe. I would not set foot there because it would be a crime mecca. So I definitely appreciate the Ogden City Police and the efforts that they make to keep society safe. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Teresa. That's all of the hands online. Is there anyone in the chamber still that would like to speak to the council? Okay, going. All right. I want to thank you all for your comments, and particularly about your civility. You've all been very civil and thoughtful in your remarks and comments, and appreciate the tenor that has been had in the meeting. So, council members, are any of you wanting to address any of the questions? There was a couple of you had your names invoked. Maybe you'll want to reply, so we'll give you that opportunity.
Chair, may I?
Yes, please do.
First of all, Eva, I know you are first fearless advocate for your neighborhood, and see you in that way make me feel worried. Dave, I ensure you, as a Latina, as a woman of color, as a woman who has an accent, ensure you the OPD is here for protect us. And I have friends, I have family. My daughter is a little dark. So, and I ensure you OPD is here for that, for protect us. And the door for them are always open. Every time I saw a video with someone is arrested, or every time my family is worried, I reach out OPD, person in charge of our communication, and they are always willing to explain me what's going on. And if you living in fear, reach out to OPD. If you don't want to do that, I'm happy to go with you, with anyone. You have my email, so you can reach out to me, but OPD is here for protect us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lopez. Anyone else?
Yeah, first I want to thank everyone for being here. To the golfing community, thanks for coming out and for expressing your opinions on the issue. One point of clarification I think that got brought up was the survey, and that survey was actually a survey for an alternate trail route that was being proposed, not a survey about necessarily the trail going through the course there. And to Damien, who came in and spoke to us directly, it sounds like Damien is the poster of the anonymous post online that had some virality to it. There were over 3,000 interactions on that post. It was well informed, and I think it it clearly had some merit with our community and deserves some thoughtful interaction. And thanks, Heath, for speaking to that for us. I don't think there's a whole lot more to be said around that. I think there were definitely some words put in my mouth that were not there. But that's online, that can be said. But if I might address some of the other issues with ICE as people have been speaking on it, because I've had several experiences this week that have got me thinking. First was that I got to go on a ride-along. It was something that I committed to in the Fraternal Order of Police debate, and I really want to thank Sergeant Winder, Captain Ward, Deputy Chief Ziegler, and Chief Subi for accommodating that. And for those that are close to me, I won't belabor the stories, but I really did witness firsthand empathetic and professional policing. And it was a good experience, and I committed to coming back in the summertime. As they said, that's the time to really get to see the full scope. So I'm going to come back and do that again. So I appreciate that. The second was I got an opportunity to attend the Martin Luther King Day breakfast, and boy, you can't leave that event without feeling inspired to do some work for civil rights in our community. Emily, a 6-year-old, was the star of the show. If you happen to have an opportunity to be there, she led a beautiful speech and a call and response to the community. It was really great. The keynote speaker, Bishop David McKinley from Second Baptist Church, also gave some really just beautiful poetic remarks, and one of them really stuck with me. And part of the speech, he said this: "The hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of great moral conflict." And when I got a chance to speak at that event, I said, I want it to be known at the end of my time in public service that nobody will have to wonder whether Kevin was neutral. And it's in that spirit that I want to reflect on some of the words that you spoke to today, and specifically because I think it is right here in our community, the words that Sheriff Arbonne posted on social media last week. And I won't read the entire statement, but I'll start with a standalone sentence in the middle that says, "We support ICE." While apparently Weber County Sheriff's Department supports ICE, our community does not. I know that because I spent 6 months talking to them. I know that because I saw the Ogden High students out there protesting today. That it was the second most asked question I got on doors. It surprised me, was, where do you stand on ICE? The second, another spot in his post that I wanted to respond to was he said, "Let me be clear, federal immigration officers are not in themselves a threat to our local communities." And I think if that's your opinion about the federal immigration officers, then your definition of community is quite small. And, say that to the child who gets dropped off at school who wonders if his mom's going to be there. They are a threat to our community. And furthermore, we know these officers, ICE officers, are not well trained, empathetic officers that I saw on my experience on Friday. Many of them have been hastily hired and sent into the streets of our country with minimal training and a gun and a mask. The sheriff continues, "What concerns us far more is the growing willingness nationwide to excuse disorder, criminal behavior, and intimidation when they are labeled as protest." And I think a statement like that blatantly sides with ICE while vilifying protesters sets our community up on a collision course where protesters might have the experience of lumping in our officers with the threat that ICE is posing to our community. And I don't want that to happen. And that's why I'm moving. A lot of you said, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And the mayor and the administration have made several comments to this. They have posted on Facebook. They've tried to make sure that the community knows that we are not collaborating with ICE. But what I would like to do is move to, with Councilmember Washington and I have been speaking about moving to produce a document that we could have as a joint resolution that puts some of those promises in writing and that allows us to be able to, the community to know that our police officers are not ICE. And that when there is a protest in our community, because if ICE shows up in our community with in any large form, there will be protests, and I'll be standing there shoulder to shoulder with you. But those folks need to know that our police officers are there to keep the peace. You know, I listened to Minneapolis Chief of Police speak about his frustrations on the front lines there about that exact experience. And so I just want to move forward with formalizing and codifying some of the promises that have been made, and look forward to working with members of the council and the administration to do that, so our community knows where we stand and doesn't get us confused with Weber County Sheriff or with other departments and other things that they have seen in our city. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Chair. So while I'm sympathetic to Kevin's desire for a document or no document, it's a scary time. My brother and sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law and his family, an armload of cousins all live in Minneapolis. It's an unbelievable set of emotions that get shared when I talk to them on the phone. It's fear, it's disbelief. And I hear that in the voices that have expressed their own fears in this room tonight, and I'm sympathetic to them. I wish Chief Subi and the mayor the best as they navigate these very treacherous waters. It's a very spooky time where people conflate our peace officers with ICE officers. They see them as the law and homogeneous, and it disallows our local police from doing the job that they're committed to do for us in providing peace and security and safety for us all. I think as a community, we've just got to keep this conversation alive, share ideas, and move forward to be sure that we don't experience what we most fear in Ogden around what we see on the streets with immigration and customs enforcement. It's very frightening indeed.
Anyone else?
I'll affirm what Councilmember Lindell has shared, that we have been in discussion and working on language and potential move towards a resolution to work with city administration and the mayor, and of course have conversations with Chief Subi. I would be remiss to not mention the town hall conversations on race that myself and a few other Ogden City individuals enacted, organized in 2016 with the rise of violence as it's continued on Black and brown bodies. And Mr. Mayor, I had the opportunity to call you on council, and we met up at Cafe Mercantile. We had a very intense conversation with other community leaders, and I would like to lead out on continuing this conversation that our constituents have brought to us. We need actionable results. We have conversations that have been happening and continually happening outside of chambers as we meet with our neighbors on the street, as they reach out to us. And so let's put pen to paper so we can start to have a framework, because this is in our community. And we've listened to the very, very real fear and concerns that I share with all of those who have spoken up today and those who have been fearful to speak up. And so, Councilmember Lindell, thank you for your words. And I look forward to the next steps that we present to not only our council and our council leadership, but the mayor.
Mr. Chair.
Councilmember Myers, yes.
Thank you. I had the privilege also of attending the Martin Luther King Day celebration with Councilwoman Washington and Councilman Lindell. It was really beautiful to be there to remember a man who leaves an amazing legacy, but not just that, but to remember his mission and his message and the beckoning call that his message still reverberates through our community today. And I just really admire and respect the folks that were at that Martin Luther King Day for this second reason, and that was because Martin Luther King was not born to be a hero, but he showed courage at a time when he could have been silent. He sought after justice at a time when there was a great repression. And during a time when there was a lot of segregation and discrimination and violence, he stood up for people that were not heard. And that's what I'm hearing today as we continue to talk about these issues. I think one of the most beautiful things that I heard, besides listening to young Emily speak, that Councilman Lundell spoke about, is a message by Bishop David McKinley when he gave this urgent call that the same thing's happening as what happened in the early 60s. And we hear that again, just with a different population. And I love Martin Luther King, where he did not believe that men should be judged because of the color of their skin, but they should be judged by their character and the right of who they are, that all men, irregardless of status or privilege or nobility of birth, all men have a right to be heard, all women, all people. And so I hear the messages today that we've spoken with that have been shared with us about ICE. I'll share with you that I've probably been to a half a dozen court cases in our chambers just nearby here of people who have been detained for a variety of different reasons. And it's very shocking, it's very sobering to me that their full rights are not recognized. And so my call today is that we continue to speak out and be voices for that community. I have a tender spot in my heart for that community, and I have this wonderful privilege of sitting next to Councilwoman Lopez and Councilwoman Washington, who are both women of color, who I regard as awesome newcomers to our city council, and I love the perspective that they bring and their ability to speak and represent those who elected them. But I just agree that we need to stand up, and it may require sacrifice. It requires that our voices be heard, and this is the first step. And although this chamber does not have much of an influence over ICE, we do hear your call, and so let's continue to keep the dialogue going and working towards remembering that we all are seek after that same justice for each person. Each person has value, and each person needs to be recognized as such. So I share those thoughts with you, express my gratitude for your thoughts today, and your voice has been heard. Thanks very much.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Yep. Again, thank you everyone who has come tonight, and those that are listening online. Definitely appreciate the engagement and the thoughtfulness of your words. I want to say thank you to some of our trail builders. As an avid trail user myself, I'm really appreciative we have those. It's a great aspect of living in Ogden is the access to so many trails. They're just everywhere. And Greg, I don't know if I saw you on Malin's on Monday maybe, or if it wasn't you, it looked just like you. So I also want to just express my appreciation to Chief Subi. What can the council do? What have we done? We appointed a chief of police who's an incredible person who runs a phenomenal department, and I support our officers. I know that they're there to keep us safe, and as Councilwoman Lopez said, if you're concerned, go talk to them, because these guys are incredible, and as I've done ride-alongs and the Citizens Police Academy, you just learn so much about the challenges that they have to deal with in not ideal circumstances. And so I just want to express my support for them and what they're doing. So,
thank you. You have all taken my comments, but I'll just point out a couple of things. Like Councilmember Lundell, I've gone on a few ride-alongs and was very impressed by the professionalism of our officers. And I don't think it was trumped up for my benefit. I think they actually, it seemed very fluid, the way they were interacting with people who were not very nice to them. They were very respectful and very professional in their interactions. One of the things I have done recently over the last couple of years is I did experience the Citizens Police Academy, and I believe that's available for whoever wants to go try that. It's about 8 weeks, I think, 7, 8 weeks, something like that. And you'll learn all kinds of things about policing, soup to nuts, if you will. It's an enlightening experience. You'll kind of get to see what tools are available for them, how they use them. Might keep you from committing any crime because they're pretty good at finding criminals. So it was impressive to do that. And so I'd recommend any of you that have interest in that to involve yourself. I am empathetic to the fears that people feel. That's never a comfortable feeling. And I think that's what I wanted to do, is to reassure you that our police are professional. They have not, they don't have a role in ICE. They just want to keep our city safe, and they do a really good job under the leadership of our police chief. Our crime rate, it continues to go down at a rate higher than the state average. So that's been really good. And I also wanted to thank you again for your attendance here tonight. That takes a little effort on your part. And so we appreciate your time tonight. So with that, comments from the mayor?
Thank you. I've been making notes all night. I'll run through a number of issues, not necessarily in the order they were presented. But if it's okay with you, Chair, I'll end on the ICE issue and ask or invite Chief Subi up as well to.
I think that would be great.
To speak to that issue as well, if he's got anything else to add. I first want to say thank you to the council for extending the time for us to engage with the neighborhood at 211 Patterson. I want to thank Councilmember Lopez for your leadership in your neighborhood, and to reinforce the fact that neighborhood engagement is something that we want to do and do more of and do better at. And when I came into office, one of the neighborhoods that I wanted to prioritize was the Marshall White community and the neighborhoods to the south. And so when you brought up the concerns that were coming out of this proposal, it really struck a chord with me, and it also represented an opportunity for us to have some help and leadership in that neighborhood to do the kind of engagement we want to do. And so thank you to the council for that opportunity, and also thank you to Councilmember Lopez for your leadership. To the watering at the park, you're right. Just today I read our application. I gave directive to our staff to submit an application to the state for some of the Great Salt Lake funds for a project that would propose that we modernize our watering system at our parks. So that is also top of mind. I want to thank the golfers that showed up today. Didn't expect that much outpouring and support, but I really do appreciate it. And I think maybe to Thor's point, that's kind of where I've been. There are strong opinions on both sides, and it's important that I listen to all sides and both sides and make reasoned and rational decisions. I know that not everybody will agree with the decisions that I make, but I'm not here to do the easy thing. I'm here to do the right thing. So thank you to those that showed up tonight to support that decision. And I want to say that I thank you to Heath for pointing out the realities of the past and the circumstances we've inherited in the comments that were made online around the water utility, around Wonder Block, and around Marshall White Center fees. I just want to say that the water utility transfer and the post that had some virality, in Councilmember Lindell's words, was not entirely accurate as a whole. Now, I do take the sentiments of the post very seriously, and I just want to reflect that the water utility transfer is something that we have daylighted time and time and time and time again with transparency, to the point that we send a notice to every single mailbox letting everybody know in the city that we're going to do it. It's been going on for decades. We're not the only city that does it. A lot of cities do it. And the reason that it hasn't been, quote, fixed is for the exact reason that was cited tonight, is that people are struggling to put food on the table. And the only fix to this is to increase taxes commensurate that would be much more money out of pocket if we were to do it any other way. And so we feel that the best way to do it was to hire a third party to do an analysis of the amount of the transfer, to make sure that we were grounded in a sound and strong rationale on how much is transferred and why. A strong part of that rationale is to provide resources in this city so that we don't have to be redundant in government. We support, through the general fund and through your property taxes, legal, risk, administrative support, et cetera. And the law would tell us that we would have to replicate those services and replicate government and double tax and double charge our people if we didn't do the utility transfer. So it's actually the rationale and the reason people are upset is the reason we have not changed the way we're doing it, because we want to make sure that we're not taking money out of people's wallets so that they can put food on people's tables. I do regret that he walked out before being able to hear that, but I also was going to offer an opportunity to speak in about all of the details and specifics of that transfer. For Marshall White Center fees, it's really unfortunate that that issue has been talked about the way that it has. We set a fee schedule with a daily fee that's very consistent with other recreation centers around our city, in neighboring communities. And we wanted to promote and incentivize a very affordable monthly and annual rate so that we could promote habits of active and healthy lifestyles, not just one-time use. And we also offer free and reduced scholarships for those in need. And we have a very simple process to help make that happen. But of course, those are not the things that are discussed online, because those are not the things that capture high emotion and rage, unfortunately. But those are the facts. That is the truth. And sometimes that truth can be a pretty pesky thing. But you will find that I don't make emotional decisions. I do make decisions and give direction and try to govern in a way that is rooted in a strong rationale and a responsible governance. And when I talk about how Washington, D.C. politics in Ogden, what I'm referring to is I don't think Washington, D.C. is the model of function. And I don't think that's the kind of city that we want to be. I don't think that the kind of politics and the rhetoric and the partisanship and the way that we treat each other in Washington, D.C. is setting an example for how we should treat each other here. That's my point. And so to your comments, Linda, about the cameras, and you asked the 99 versus the 1%, I don't think we have to make a decision about that. I think that we can serve everybody. And the directive I gave to Chief Subi, and hopefully he was able to communicate in the work session, is that it is everybody's right and our responsibility to protect the constitutional rights of everybody, whether you are a resident coming and going or a criminal who's committed an act of crime. You have rights. This police department will respect those and protect them. For those that have not committed a crime and feel that you need your information and your privacy secured, that's where the safeguards come into place in the sideboards to ensure that your privacy is protected and that these tools are not abused, and that we have the safeguards and the systems in place to make sure that that is the case. And as probably was presented in the work session, that our policies and our safeguards are more stringent than what state law requires. That's how serious we take it. And so that's where I land on that. And if you want to talk more about it, I'm happy to chat there. As it relates to the input around ICE, I want to first thank Sam as well as the other veterans who are here and service members. But I want to center on Sam's remarks because you were very constitutional in your remarks. I really appreciate that. So thank you for your service. And I also want to draw attention to the oath that you uphold, and thank you for doing so. I'm never going to compare myself to the oath and the things that you have done to protect this nation and the oath that you take and the way that you protect it. That's just not, that would be disrespectful to you. But I do also swear an oath to the Constitution. And although the way that we protect it, you and I, are different, what isn't different is that Constitution. The Constitution of the United States of America that you and I both swore to uphold is the same. And I take it very, very seriously as too. I just want you to know that. Because in my view, there is no ambiguity and there is nothing neutral about the United States Constitution. I am very clear to my police department that our directive and theirs is to uphold and protect the safety of the people that live in this city and visit the city, period. I do not have any authority over ICE. I am not the president of the United States. I am the mayor of a town in Utah named Ogden, and I oversee a police department. And like every police department in the state of Utah, except one that I'm aware of, we do not participate in the 287G agreement. And I have said numerous times that we will not, under my direction and my leadership and authority, will not be participating in a 287G agreement. I will say that I've also been very clear to my police department that we're not going to just stand by and let our people be victimized. Now, where this gets challenging is that we often face a lot of politics around this issue. And I'm happy to face the politics rather than face the family or a victim who was victimized because we weren't willing to have the conversation in the public or with our community. So anybody that wishes to do harm to our people will be held to account and will be done so consistent with the Constitution of the United States. But we have absolutely no authority over immigration enforcement. That is totally different. And I'll let Chief Subi speak to that. If there's anything else to add, Chief Subi, I'll invite you to come up. We have had numerous conversations in our community with faith leaders, civic leaders, business leaders, neighbors and neighborhoods. We've done numerous Facebook posts, numerous interviews in the media releases. We've been in the media in both English and in Spanish. We've done releases in English and in Spanish and social media posts in English and Spanish. We've done everything we can to try and share the message so that there is no ambiguity or neutrality. So Chief Subi, if you want to come up and add, if you have anything else to add, I'd welcome it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on this issue. The reality for me is I appreciate the messages that were said here tonight, but just know that this isn't the only place I've heard those messages. I try to put myself in places where I can talk to our community members. I have a quarterly faith-based meeting where I'm talking to the faith-based leaders in our community so that they can express their concerns from their congregations. And they've been open and honest. And a lot of what most of you have said here, I've heard from them as well. So it's not lost on me that there is fear, that there is concern, that our community members, there are members of our community that are stressed out, nervous, and scared. I get that, absolutely get that. And we work every day to keep having these conversations and communications to try to overcome that. It's hard. With what's happening across our country and the extreme issues that have happened recently, only exacerbates the issue that we're trying to face here and hit head on here in Ogden City. I think it's important that everybody hears, and I believe we've put messages out there. We've responded to circumstances, but I think this is a great opportunity to stand in front of the City Council as well as those that are in this room today, those online, and also me recognizing that there's 87,000 residents in this city that I'm speaking to that aren't just in this room right now. There are a lot of people, and I hear from a lot of them. But it is important for me to stand in this room and be able to respond. The mayor has spoke to several of the things that I'm just going to reiterate as the police chief. The mayor and I talk frequently. We communicate regularly. He expresses what he expects of our police department, and I push that down to our police department. And everything that the mayor has said is factual. We have committed. We are not a part of the 287G program. We will not be a part of the 287G program. And I hope you can hear that and see that I'm stating that very clearly. We do not participate in ICE operations, in raids or sweeps that are common terms that are used across. We have not and will not and will continue not to. I know that over this last year, there were 2 events that brought concern to the public. We saw it in social media. We got phone calls, we got letters, we got emails, and we responded because we didn't feel we had or there's anything to hide. We were transparent in those interactions that had occurred. There's a difference between supporting an ICE operation and enforcing immigration law, which we have no authority to do. The Ogden Police Department has no authority to enforce federal immigration law. We enforce local and state laws. That's our role, that's our responsibility, and to my knowledge, there isn't a single local or state law that gives me the authority to enforce immigration law. But in those 2 incidents, we saw that the public had concern because there was an ICE involvement in 2 incidents. And I just want to make sure that you hear it from me and how we responded to that. We put out a very clear message on social media to be transparent about what occurred in both of those. The first one involved an officer stopping to just sit on a scene and not get involved in an investigation that ICE was conducting. We did not get involved in that interaction. And then subsequently, at the end of that, the officer ended up pulling somebody over who was engaged in that. Well, we heard from that individual who was involved in that traffic stop. That person sat in my office, and we had a great conversation. I opened my door because I wanted to hear their perspective. And the truth is, I learned from them, and I believe they learned from me. I think there was a great dialogue, a great conversation that came from that. And I think we came to a great understanding between each other on that circumstance. And in that case, it was simply an officer doing what they do every day. Pull up on any officer, whether it's a federal, state, or local officer, they're going to stop and make sure those officers are safe. It doesn't mean they get involved in the investigation. It doesn't mean they become an active member of that investigation. In this case, the officer actually never exited his car and had that interaction with the immigration officers. But we were open and honest about that and had that communication with the person involved in the traffic stop. Follow that. Ms. Haslam, I know, mentioned that she came down, and I welcome that. She came down and watched the video, and I appreciate that she did that and allowed us to sit in the room and have that conversation with her. But I want it to be clear. I realize that there's this, we put this out on our social media to be clear. Yes, ICE was called to that traffic stop. But the reason that is we can't think of every hypothetical situation that will ever occur out there and say that there isn't ever a moment that it isn't appropriate potentially to have a conversation with an ICE agent. Now, having a conversation and having them assist us on an investigation such as this is not an ICE operation. It is not a raid. It is not a sweep. It is not us enforcing immigration law. The circumstances of that case were that an individual in that stop appeared to be being deceitful about their information. That person appeared to be hiding their identity, and it became difficult to identify them. The original purpose for the stop was an extremely low-level infraction offense, which is extremely difficult to make an arrest on. Followed by that, during the conversation and by the individual's own admissions with no direct questioning about where the individual's from, the individual volunteered that they had just come here a week ago illegally over the border. Then voluntarily stated that they did so through the use of a coyote. This was not questioning by the Ogden Police Department. There's body cam that shows that. We're not hiding anything. We were transparent about that. So it became apparent to us that we can't identify this person. They won't submit to a fingerprint. We need to use the next potential resource based on the information that the person provided us willingly without us asking. And the logical step there was ICE. And in that case, we found out the person was wanted out of Texas on warrants once we identified who the actual person was, and we also learned that the passenger had local warrants for their arrest. So I understand where there can be confusion that we're involved and we're operating with ICE and in conjunction enforcing immigration law, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The officers of the Ogden City Police Department know that their job is to protect this community, the people that live here in Ogden City, the people that work here in Ogden City, and the ones that come here to recreate and enjoy what Ogden City has to offer. That message is made clear to them. I do not believe it's ambiguous to our officers. I know how it can become ambiguous to the public because there's a lot of information sources coming. But within inside the police department, the information is coming from me, from conversations I have with the mayor. That information is pushed down and it's not ambiguous. I want to touch on the relationship with the Weber County Sheriff's Office. I know Councilman Lundell spoke to that about comments made on social media. The reality is the Ogden Police Department operates our own policies, procedures, and directives. The Weber County Sheriff's Office operates their own policies, procedures, and directives. What they choose to do, we have no bearing or control over, and what they do has no effect on how we police whatsoever. Yes, we're partners, absolutely. If an officer screams for help, every officer in this entire county is coming. That's what they do. If they're screaming because there's a crazy incident, some of you may be aware of the incident we recently had in South Ogden that became a horrible, a tragic night, the loss of a life because somebody, well, when that call, all officers are coming. But that doesn't mean that our policies and procedures blur, our directives blur. When it comes to what we've stated, we do not have a 287G agreement, whether the county does or not. We're not going to engage in a 287G. We are not going to enforce immigration law. We are not going to be involved in immigration enforcement or operations or raids or sweeps or the many terms that are being used. And I want you to make sure you hear that from me. Yes, the Weber County, where we do blur lines, is that they have a jail. And that's where we take people who deserve to go to jail when they do things that they should be taken out of our community for. And we do that regularly, and we do that unapologetically because we protect victims. If people commit crime here and it warrants jail, that's where they go, following the law, following the Constitution, and following our city ordinances, as well as our policy. But they may have their 287G program, and it may operate inside of the jail, but that is never a catalyst for the purpose for arrest. Similar to the circumstance with that Ms. Haslam spoke about. Our goal isn't to arrest people to find out if you're an illegal immigrant. Our goal is to arrest you because you committed a crime that we can enforce, that's a state law or a city ordinance. Not just the hopes that we can get you in front of a 287G officer. We would never do that. That is not the expectation. Now, if I arrest somebody who's committed a crime, I have probable cause to believe that crime occurred, there's enough evidence to support it, and we book that person into jail, and on the back end during their identification process, that's all handled by the Weber County Sheriff's Office. And if that engages in immigration and customs, that is an agreement that the jail has. But that had zero or no bearing on whether we take people to jail, whether we should book somebody on a charge, whether they should be given a chance tonight, whether they should be released tonight. We'll never let that dictate how we're going to respond and how we're going to enforce. We have our own policies and procedures, and that won't change. It doesn't matter that if another agency within Weber County opts to engage in a 287G, it won't have any bearing on us and how we enforce and the actions that we take. We will continue to be transparent and open and if we do something that is over the line, we'll address it. Not afraid. Accountability is critical. We can't have a professional police agency without accountability. That's critical. It's a critical role of what I have to do as a police chief. It's a critical role of my leadership team is the accountability associated with that. But what I can tell you is we have amazing officers in the Ogden City Police Department that do amazing work each and every day. They're placed in sometimes impossible situations, extremely complex situations that they're expected to make a split-second decision in. And I will tell you, the vast, vast, vast majority of the time, our officers do the right thing for the right reason, follow the law, follow policy, and absolutely follow the Constitution. And if they don't, they know there's a consequence to that. I know there was a mention of an online survey that says we've had really horrible customer service type reviews. We're not a great department, and I understand that. I don't know where that data comes from. Every police call that we go out, we do a survey. People who call the police get a survey, and it asks them, was the officer professional? Was the officer knowledgeable? What was your overall experience with the Ogden Police Department? What was your experience with the Weber 911 Dispatch Center? I can tell you right now, we are sitting around a 4.63 positive rating out of 5. And that has been consistent for at least the last 3 to 5 years that we've been tracking that data. That's data we ask for. And that's proof to me that some online portal that may be posting something may not have all the facts, may not be actually people who are in our community. But we're hearing from people in our community that we are serving them the right way, we're providing them quality service, and we're going to continue to do that. That's my expectation as the chief, that yes, we have a hard job, and it can be hard at sometimes, but you have a responsibility to be professional, treat everybody with respect. Doesn't matter their background, where they came from, doesn't matter the color of their skin, their age, their demographic, none of that matters. Handle the police call, do it the best you possibly can, and follow the law. So I just make sure it's clear that we won't be involved in a 287G agreement. We will not be involved in immigration enforcement or ICE operations. And we will continue to focus on making Ogden City a safe place to live, for kids to play in their neighborhood. It hurts me to hear that kids fear that they don't want to go out. We don't want that. That's not what I want. I want kids to go to Lester Park and have a great time and love it and enjoy it. That's our goal. That's ours. And I was grateful to hear several people say that over the last year, they have seen a bit of a change in some of that. That means in my mind, we're doing some of the right things to better and continue to better our city. We've had a long run of crime reduction, but I did not think I'd stand here today at the end of 2025 and tell you we had another 14% reduction in Part 1 crime in the city. That's the second largest since 2016. That's significant. That's great work with very little significant issues involving our officers and our agency. But thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciated hearing from everybody and the words that everybody had to say. And you've heard my commitment, and I hope you can take that with you and know that it's factual, that we stand by that. And if there's a question about something, we'll talk to you. We'll be transparent. We'll have a conversation. You know, we may not always see eye to eye on everything, but we can be civil and have a conversation. And I'm absolutely open to that, and we'll continue to do that. So, thank you.
Thanks,
Chair?
Chief. Yes.
I have a question for Chief.
Yes,
sure.
Chief Subi. Is the county commission supportive of Chief Arbon's policy? Is that Chief Arbon's policy? Is this one that comes down through the county commission, or do you know the answer to that?
My understanding is this is a sheriff's office decision. They operate differently. They're all elected officials, including the sheriff in this circumstance. And so a little bit different, obviously, in our circumstance. The mayor and I work together. He oversees me and our department. And so that's why it's going to fall much more in line. We're going to follow much more. And the great part is we do feel the same way. But in the sheriff's office, it's operated differently. And I don't know the stance on the county commission. I've never had that conversation. I just know Sheriff Arbon's stance. And that was made clear through the statement made on social media.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Chair, can I ask a question?
Sure.
First, thank you for being here, and you've already endured many of my questions in the work session today, so thank you. I really appreciate it. In the second scenario that you laid out for us, where you're having trouble identifying a person, what would have been the procedure if ICE were not in our town that day?
Yeah, that's a great question. It would have been extremely difficult. And the scary potential part is that person may have gotten away longer. They've already fled Texas with warrants because it is difficult. There is a line between somebody's giving a name that we're not finding a record on, but we're not finding enough to say that they're lying to us because they're continuing their story, right? That's a difficult balance. And then what is the initial reason for the stop? Is it something we would traditionally arrest somebody for? Is it even an arrestable offense potentially? So that has to be weighed in that discussion, in that decision-making process. But officers are good at their job. when they're communicating with individuals, like in this case, it was clear to them, and I believe they even vocalized it on the video, that something's off. Based on the conversation that is happening, it's not here. So that's what pushed them to the line that they went to that line, because they thought, and their instinct was correct, this person was wanted out of Texas and was extraditable out of Texas.
So there aren't other ways to go about trying to identify a person in that situation if ICE hadn't have been in our town that day?
It's tough. We attempted the fingerprint. We have, some of our officers have a fingerprint scanner that you can scan, and it'll help identify an individual. But without some reason to arrest or book, we can't compel in that circumstance. We can't as an officer. So it would be hard. It would be extremely difficult. That's not to say that through continued investigation, maybe you develop some sort of probable cause that the person's providing false information, which then means you can't issue them a citation, which then means you've overcome the inability to make an arrest on the original offense, those types of things. So there's a lot of that, but it is extremely difficult. And so officers, and it doesn't happen, it's not a frequent circumstance. This was a unique scenario based on, I'll be honest, I was a little shocked when I was told the person admitted and told them without being asked these things. And at first I was like, are you sure? I got to see that body cam. And it was exactly that. And it is difficult. That's why I say officers are put in impossible situations daily and complex situations daily in hopes of protecting our community. And it's extremely difficult. And sometimes, yeah, you find enough to book somebody into jail, and other days you realize you learn to fight another day, and you don't have the probable cause. Because in the end, our goal is not to just book people to book people. We need the probable cause. We need the evidence. We need those things to substantiate why we're taking somebody's civil liberties away and seizing their person and putting them in jail. It's tough. It's very tough.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Chief, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Council members, this is your time for comments. Maybe we've already given them all.
Well,
I guess we should know better.
Yeah. Mayor, thank you for your comments. There was a lot there. I won't try to get into every single one of them, but regarding the ICE situation, and I did speak into all of the areas in which we have said what the city's policies are. You said we have done everything, and I think that there's a final step of formalization that would make that really very clear, and codifying that, and that would, I think, be something that we could, that would be doing everything.
Anybody else? Well, Mary, your name was invoked.
Or maybe.
So.
Thanks. I didn't mean to leave that part out, so thank you for the reminder. It's my understanding that in our form of government, entering into an agreement or not entering into an agreement is within my purview and my authority. I had been taking the approach that it was my responsibility to take the pressure, blame, the weight, the burden of the decision, of which I'm more than happy to do. That's why I've put my opinion and my statement in writing and on the record at every chance possible. I'll let you defer with your legal counsel on, because I'd never considered the notion of it. So if it's within your purview and your authority, we'll have those discussions. I just wanted to make my commitment clear tonight that we will not be entering into an 87G agreement, that I've given that directive clearly and explicitly to my chief and to my police department and to our city time and time again. And you'll find that I'm a very transparent mayor. I'm also committed to my word. And so if that's appropriate to put into a resolution, we'll talk about that.
Okay, any other comments from council members? That was my comment, or my thought initially as well, that we could make resolutions all day that we don't have any power to enforce. And it is the responsibility of the administration. The duties and powers rest on the administrative side with respects to law enforcement. We are the legislative body, and so we I guess we can encourage all we want, but we don't really have the authority. So I think I would be uneasy to affix my name to a resolution that I don't have any authority to uphold. So, and unless our legal gives us some idea that we maybe
We're talking
do have
about a joint resolution.
if it's a joint resolution and we talk about a desired policy, but in the end, it's the mayor that
Right.
makes that policy. And I think being a joint resolution, he'd have to be part of it.
Totally.
So
That's why we're looking forward to the
and so
conversations.
that conversation could certainly happen. So anyway, that's kind of where I find myself. Anyway, I think that's all of this meeting. So
Move adjourn.
okay, got a motion.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Myers, and second by Councilmember Ritchie to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
And the opinion of the chair, that was unanimous. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for being here today.